Hello. I wanted to take just a couple of minutes and I wanted to, I'm going to make a few videos, two or three or maybe even four of these, and I'm going to post them for you. Like a lot of faculty members, I don't like videos of myself probably any more than you do, but I think they may help me be able to bridge this communication gap and to be able to take all of this very difficult and at times tedious reading and tie it together for you. So I want to connect some dots. That's how you can think about what I'm going to do with these videos. Connect some dots for you. So what I'm going to talk about in this particular video, and I'm going to use the whiteboard right behind me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about why we look at theory at all. You're reading a lot of different complex material about how people learn, so I want to talk about that. Essentially, when you teach, some of you do teach and have been for a while, and some of you haven't, but you intend to. So whether you're teaching already or you're going to teach, you have two choices when you teach for the first time. And the path that you take when you make that initial choice has a very great impact. It does not eliminate the possibility of you changing and maturing and developing. All of us learn things as we teach. But the way we teach comes from one of two different things. So I'm going to point that out to you now. What we do when we teach is when we talk about what we do. This is a really big key, what we do. I say do because this is a theory class. So it can leave you feeling very much as though you are about thinking with these articles and chapters, but there's not much to do with them. That is extremely damaging to your capacity to teach, for instance, and to learn in a course like this. This course is about doing, okay? But you are going to do for hopefully better and different reasons than you did before. So, what we do when we teach, I'm talking about whether I move my hands around too much, like I tend to do, or whether I talk loudly or slowly, or whether I lecture, or whether I use group exercises. What I do comes from two directions. What you do comes from two directions. You either do what you have seen. You either do what you have seen. I'll write it large here. You do what is modeled for you. If you do not get specific training, which many educators do not and trainers do not, then you simply get up and do what you have seen done. Now, it is true that you will have had some bad experiences in your life and you will try to avoid making those same mistakes. If someone was very boring, you will try not to be boring. If someone talked too long and didn't give breaks, you might try to fix that. But in terms of what you do generally, what is teaching about? How much group exercises? Do you do an icebreaker? Do you not do an icebreaker? Do you ask lots of questions or very few questions? Do you try not to lecture at all because you feel like you're an adult educator and you're not supposed to? Or do you lecture a lot because you're old school and you believe that that's the way people learn? I'm lecturing right now. The question is why? Is it because you have seen it and because it has been modeled for you? This option is a no thought option. This is a no thought option. If you are doing that, then you are not acting with intentionality, you are not acting purposefully. You're just blindly doing without thinking much about it. The only other option is rational thought. Well-reasoned action. Intentionality. So these words, I know it's hard for you to read them. Rational thought, well-reasoned action, intentionality. You're acting with a purpose. You've thought about what you're doing, each little thing you're doing, why you're doing it, and you do it for a reason. Now, something important to point out. Two things. First of all, anybody who's interested in education in any way should not be happy with this method over here. Just doing what you've seen done without critical reflection should not be acceptable to you. It's not what professionals do. It's not what people who are good at what they do. Now, having said that, I am not saying that you should reject what's being done simply because it's being done. There have been very, very good teachers around for centuries, probably millennia, and some of them have had no official or formal training. So I'm not suggesting you reject what's being done over here. What I am suggesting is that this should not be acceptable to you as a professional. This should not be acceptable to you as a thinker. This should not be acceptable to you as someone who is trying to earn a master's degree or who has earned a master's degree. You should only ever want to do something because it comes from a place of rational thought, well-reasoned action, and intentionality of purpose. Now, again, one more caveat. I'm not suggesting, again, that there's no intuition involved, that you don't read students as you teach and read situations and go a little bit with the feel. Feel is sort of a part of this rational thought. Feel can't be left entirely alone, but neither can rational thought. Okay? Those two go together. So, if you're getting this degree, then you want to be a professional. You want to have a degree, an advanced degree, and you want to be a master of what you do. This is not open to you. This is what you want. This is rational thought, well-purposed thought. Now, so where does that take us? Where does that take us now? Okay? It's going to take us three things. We've got 3 lines here. Well, 2 lines and 3 sections. 1, 2, 3. This is what we're doing in this class. Over here you have theory. Theory. Left the Y off. There you have theory. This is what you're learning in this class. Lots of theory. In the middle, you have principles in column number 2. Principles. Theory, principles. And over here in this column you have actions and methods. Over here, you're talking about a concept. Here, you're talking about an understanding. And here, you're talking about action, something you do. So we're going to talk about theory in this class right here. I'm going to help you in the next several videos. I'm going to go over what you've been reading. I'm going to connect some dots for you. We're going to talk about theory. And you can do this as well, I'm asking you to do it, but I'm going to help you with it. I am going to connect those into principles, guiding principles. You are going to continue to connect those principles into methods. Now, before I close this video out, there's a big distinction between operating on principle and operating on method. It's an important distinction, so I want you to listen closely to this. People who just do things from a list of steps almost always will apply them universally, misuse them, and therefore use them inefficiently and ineffectively. Everybody's been in classes where somebody does an icebreaker every single class. That's someone who has on their checklist, do an icebreaker, but does not have a full understanding of what an icebreaker is for, when it should be used, when it should not. You've all probably been in a class where the teacher has tried putting you in groups and tried facilitating conversation, and it was not working. That's because that teacher had a step somewhere in a list that said, use group work, but did not understand the dynamic in the particular room you were in, the participants, the students, the content, the lack of understanding of whatever it was, perhaps even a lack of social proclivity in that group. But the bottom line is the teacher didn't understand that, was simply checking off of a list. You've heard people ask questions in a teaching situation where they ask you redundant questions. They ask you questions you couldn't possibly answer. They ask you questions and then answer them themselves without waiting for an answer. All of these things become very annoying to you. That's because this teacher, whoever was doing that, had a list somewhere and it said ask questions. They didn't understand why you ask questions. Therefore, they used the wrong types of questions at the wrong times with the wrong group, and with the wrong content. If you want to be a good teacher, you must operate on principles. From these principles, you develop methods. But when the methods are not working in any given situation, you have the principles to understand, that conceptual understanding that allows you to change what you do. I'll give you one very brief example, and then we're closing this. In the training world, the teaching world, there's a question, do you stand up or do you sit down? Different people had different views on this. I've been through a lot of trainer courses. I teach some trainer courses. And you'll get lists saying you should always stand up. It's professional. You shouldn't sit down. Or you should sit down in other schools of thought. It's more collegial and warm. And okay, so the bottom line is neither one of those answers is correct. The key to teaching is connection with the learner, which is why online learning is so difficult. And if I am teaching in a physical classroom and I have one student and I stand up in front of them, I will disconnect with them. No one wants to stand and look up at someone towering over them, talking at them. Sitting down next to that learner will connect more. However, if I have a room with 40 people in it and I sit down, I will immediately lose connection with everybody in the last half of the room because they can no longer see me very well. Okay, it would be like one of your classmates speaking in a row in front of you. Now I'm talking about physical classrooms, the same principles apply online. Okay? The idea being, it's not about whether you stand or sit, it's about whether you connect. Standing or sitting will connect you or disconnect you depending on the situation. Understanding the principles will help you adapt the methods on the fly as you go to know when they're not working and to change them. So, in this course, we're going to go from theory to principles to methods. I'm going to help you get from here to here. You're going to work to get from here to here. And we're going to make some sense of these readings. I hope this is somewhat helpful for you. There'll be several more of these. Thank you.